Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining. Welcome to the depth of winter in California. I decided to do this outside, and part two here is to uncover some of the questions some of you had and some of the changes that have taken place over the last 5 days since my first episode on why I believe MicroStrategy is very undervalued. So let's jump right in. First of all, I'd like, I'm getting this channel off the ground. I'd love if you could subscribe. Lots of good stuff coming with a very frequent cadence. Some of the observations that I see, and I try and promise unique content and a unique way of looking at things. Let's jump forward. A quick recap of where we were before. So before MicroStrategy invested in any Bitcoin, they had about $1 billion market cap, making, average earnings was about $26 million a year. Okay, no big deal. We covered that already. The other thing that's actually happening right now is not only are all the big investors and hedge funds getting into Bitcoin in a big way very quickly, but there's a huge wall of treasury money coming in as well. This is happening much faster than I ever believed back in October. And just this morning, Elon Musk and Michael Saylor were playing with each other on Twitter. You can see this image here of maybe the time where Elon Musk is getting tempted by Bitcoin, since he has actually raised $10 billion in September, a $5 billion tranche in September, and another $5 billion tranche in December. He knows his big stash of cash is melting, so be looking to do something creative with that. The other thing that's interesting is this particular slide here. Again, part of that dialogue they had going this morning, Michael Saylor spoke directly to Elon Musk, explaining, hey, let's have a one-on-one conversation, rocket man to rocket man, as to how we do this. Now, the important thing I want to stress here is when we zoom into the slide, is the scarcity. I always talk scarcity. There's only 1.6 million Bitcoins on exchanges. If you see my previous videos, I talk about supply a lot and how it is so scarce. And Elon even asked, is such a large transaction even possible? And Saylor says, yes, he's just dropped 1.3 billion. And this is the crux of this, why this is so important. So scarcity, wall of money hitting each week will drive this potentially to a 4x from where we are now. So by year end 2021, I wasn't sure where Bitcoin would be. I was thinking maybe $20,000. As it turns out right now, a lot of people are forecasting anywhere from $100,000 to $1 million. And I'm going to talk about that in a subsequent video, probably tomorrow or Tuesday, about all of the 36 different valuation models that are out there and why it's important. But the point is here, there's only enough room based on the current supply of Bitcoin on exchanges to do another 34 like Saylor deals before Bitcoin goes to $100,000 a coin, i.e. if $45 billion flows into this asset class, it will 4x from where we are now. And as I'm making this video, Bitcoin just blew through 24,200. And that's the other reason is to update some of the numbers we're talking about. So again, everything is kind of intertwined. So let's talk about the 1.3 billion that Michael Saylor has invested and the number of coins, okay? 1.3 billion, I pulled out the tranches of how much they purchased when and the approximate price. The December purchase is an estimate, but I think it's pretty close. The really enticing thing about this as well, and something that I can't quite figure out, is 5 days ago, Michael Saylor, MicroStrategy, made $480 million in paper profit. Right now, that paper profit looks more like $700 million. Let's zoom in and talk about what this looks like. If you saw my previous video, the Bitcoin price is about $21,000. Now it's at $24,200. That means, based on my estimation of coins and based on the cost, MicroStrategy has made an unrealized paper profit of about $690 million. That's more than 200 million more in just 5 days. Think about that, $200 million more in just 5 days. So they originally made a paper profit of 480 million. Now it's about $700 million. Crazy to think. The detail of this, what this actually means real quick, profit as of December 16th, 488 million. Profit today, Sunday, December 20th, 2020, $690 million. That is a net gain of another 200 million paper profit in just 5 days. Staggering to think. Now, what's happened to the stock? The stock has actually gone down since the end of November. The stock was at $354. at the end of November. And after all this good news, after the additional $650 million purchase of Bitcoin, and after Bitcoin going from $17,000 to $24,000, the stock is down. It makes no sense. And that's what I'm trying to get a handle on here as to why that's actually happening. So one of the things that's very interesting to me is all of the different valuation models, the price predictions of Bitcoin. There are 36 of them that I track very closely, and they're all bouncing up all the time. It's kind of out of control. But I'm going to do a separate video on all these models and walk through them all in great detail. But basically, if you look at the number of Bitcoin that MicroStrategy has and take an average of all of the predictions of price, that yields a total value of about $25 billion. Okay? And take the amount of MicroStrategy shares of 7.5 million. The average value per share based on these future price prediction models should be about 3,500. But we're not talking about the future, we're talking about today and where we need to be today. So the crux of the video here is MicroStrategy needs to be trading at a much higher price. But the question is, why is it? Now, this is not investment advice, but this is more about an observation that I'm making. I'm trying to figure out why the market is not efficient. It should be. It's not. And I think maybe next week the market may realize, oh my God, MicroStrategy should be an awful lot higher. So based on the strategy I did a week ago, I sold the $290 puts for $110. I bought the $300 calls a year out for $103. So my net cost was actually, the market paid me $7 for this position. It's a very risky options position, but I'm that confident that I don't see MicroStrategy going below $283. Because of the amount of Bitcoin that they have and because of where I believe Bitcoin's going to go in the future. It's just the market hasn't realized it yet. So here are the scenarios that I had a lot of questions about. So what happens with this trade? Okay, it's an extremely risky trade. I call it the shotgun. It's when you sell naked puts and you buy calls. Basically, you expect the only way to go is up. But if it does go down, for example, if the price does go back to $150, which is where MicroStrategy was before any of their Bitcoin purchases, I lose $13,300 per contract. If the price goes to $200, okay, I lose about $8,300 per contract. If the price stays where it is today, I actually gain $1,700 per contract. If the price in December 1st goes to $350, I make about $7,000 per contract. And what people think could happen, that is Bitcoin could go to $100,000 by December 2021. That means I believe the share price of MicroStrategy should fairly be valued at about $1,000 a share, which means the profit per contract should be about $71,000. Anyway, I just want to zoom out for a second. This is not investment advice. This is just an observation of the identification of an arbitrage opportunity, a market inefficiency. Please subscribe to my channel, Getting It Off the Ground. Next video in the box is going to be talking about the 36 price prediction models, which is extremely interesting. Detailed models going between next year, price predictions, all the way to 2037. Please subscribe. Again, not investment advice. Thanks, everybody. Have a great Sunday.